The 2026 NFL season is expected to be an exciting one, as we get to see our favorite stars, coaches, and teams unleash new schemes and plays in front of us. Not to mention, we get to see a lot of rookies looking to make names for themselves, along with veterans looking to reestablish themselves on new teams. However, there are guys in the league that have the bust label floating around them to the point where they likely have just one last chance to prove themselves during the upcoming regular season. These guys have either dealt with coaching issues, not gotten used to the systems that coaches have implemented, or constantly dealt with injuries. So today, we're going to take a look at 10 guys who likely have one more chance to turn things around for the better in the 2026 season. Penix Jr. Although Michael Penix Jr. has played okay football when he's good, the 2026 season may be his last season to prove to the Falcons that he's their guy long-term, as the team signed Tua Tagovailoa to compete for the starting job. The Falcons got rid of general manager Terry Fontenot and head coach Raheem Morris. They hired offensive-minded head coach Kevin Stefanski and Ian Cunningham to be the team's next general manager, and neither of them drafted Penix Jr. Not to mention that Penix Jr. dealt with a partially torn ACL that ended his 2025 season, which compounded accuracy concerns and a sub 60% career completion rate over his first 12 starts. Penix Jr. has a 4-8 record as a starter. He has poor efficiency, and he's been dealing with a slow recovery. Penix Jr. is also halfway through his rookie contract, and he has done nothing to justify why the Falcons should pick up his fifth-year option. If Penix Jr. loses the starting job to Tagovailoa before the start of the regular season, or suffers another injury during the regular season, the Falcons won't hesitate to draft another starting QB for the 2027 season. Xavier Legette. The 2026 season is a critical make-or-break year for Legette, as his production declined during his 2025 season, where he caught 35 receptions for 363 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. Although Legette recently had a great start to training camp, Pro Football Focus graded him with a 52.1, ranking him 79 out of 81 wide receivers. Legette lost significant playing time from the Panthers due to mental errors, failing to line up on time, or failing to keep his feet in bounds. Panthers general manager Dan Morgan has proven that he won't wait to draft a new wideout with a high draft pick and just develop that guy immediately. So if Legette continues to regress in his production, he won't be afraid to replace him. Because Legette was selected with the 32nd pick of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Panthers hold a 5th-year rookie option. If Legette's production continues to fall off a cliff, don't be surprised if the Panthers decline to pick up that 5th-year option. Legette must step it up in the 2026 regular season and increase his statistical numbers, or he's going to be labeled a draft bust. Keon Coleman. Coleman has been one of the most inconsistent wide receivers in the league, as he's shown flashes of success early on, but has fallen back to earth during the 2025 season. Coleman went from having 556 yards to 404 yards in 2025. The Bills traded for DJ Moore in the offseason to provide Josh Allen with a true Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver, which is something Coleman hasn't lived up to. At Coleman's height of 6'4", he relies on back shoulder catches, but he struggled to gain separation against the league's most talented defensive backs. Coleman was originally drafted with the 33rd pick of the 2024 NFL Draft to fill the massive hole Stephon Diggs left behind. But his development has since gone backwards. Not to mention, Coleman has been incredibly inconsistent, as he went from having 112 receiving yards against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 1 of the 2025 season to failing to get over 50 receiving yards for the rest of the season. Coleman's also dealt with maturity issues and poor time management, resulting in him getting benched, as he was a healthy scratch from 4 games in the 2025 season. If Coleman doesn't show signs of improvement in 2026, then he's going to be labeled an early second-round draft bust and possibly get traded out of Buffalo during the season or in 2027. J.J. McCarthy. Similar to Michael Penix Jr., McCarthy also has a lot to prove to the Vikings, as his 2025 season was just a massive flop. McCarthy completed 140 passes for 1,632 yards through 11 touchdowns against 12 interceptions, rushed for 181 yards on 37 attempts, and scored 4 rushing touchdowns. His season was cut short due to a small hairline fracture in his throwing hand that ultimately ended his season. McCarthy's rookie season was derailed by a torn meniscus in his right knee, and he's had injury issues throughout the league, which honestly is a pretty big concern for the Vikings moving forward. Not to mention, McCarthy has flaws in his mechanics and footwork issues that have really delayed his transition into the NFL. Because of that, the Vikings signed Kyler Murray to a veteran's minimum deal as he looks to compete for the starting job against McCarthy. If Murray becomes the starter for Week 1, then McCarthy's time in the Twin Cities is gonna be limited. Myles Murphy. The Bengals defense saw some significant upgrades during the offseason with the arrival of Boye Mafe, Jonathan Allen, and the trading of Dexter Lawrence. However, this puts pressure on Myles Murphy, who's playing in a high-stakes season, as the team declined to pick up his fifth-year option. Murphy did improve his numbers and had career highs when he had 52 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 3 pass deflections, and a fumble recovery for the Bengals in 2025. However, in his previous season, he was off to a slow start and had 3 sacks in his rookie season, but had 0 sacks in his sophomore season. With the defense now reloaded and very crowded, it'll potentially make things tougher for Murphy to improve his numbers during the 2026 regular season, especially with younger guys like Shamar Stewart and Cassius Howell wanting to get reps in. Murphy must continue to show progress in the 2026 season. If he doesn't perform immediately, the Bengals will release him and another team will sign him to a veteran minimum deal and potentially revive his career. Tyrie Wilson. After a few forgettable seasons with the Las Vegas Raiders, Tyrie Wilson was traded to the New Orleans Saints during the 2026 offseason to prove that he's not a likely bust. Wilson is on a prove-it deal structured by the Saints as the team declined his fifth-year option, which would have paid him $14.4 million in 2027. Wilson's stats haven't been great, as he had 91 tackles, 12 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a safety in his 3 seasons with the Silver and Black. Not to mention, he's failed to live up to expectations with the Raiders after getting drafted with the 7th pick of the 2023 NFL Draft. Wilson also has never shown signs of positive progression in each of his seasons in the NFL. And that's a problem, as he's slow to jump off the line of scrimmage and has poor hand usage and has displayed stagnant pass rush techniques. With Wilson being a rental player for the Saints, he must improve his stats in their pass rush under defensive coordinator Brandon Staley. If Wilson doesn't improve his numbers and plays poorly, well, the Saints are going to walk away, leaving him as a free agent during the 2027 offseason. Bryce Young. Even though Bryce Young isn't considered a total bust, 2026 is going to be a major year to prove that his 2025 season wasn't a fluke. The expectations are incredibly high for Young to repeat his best season in the league so far, as he had career highs in passing yards with 3,011 and 23 touchdowns. While the Panthers exercised Young's fifth-year option for the 2027 season, he needs to have a statistical leap for the upcoming 2026 season. Despite leading the Panthers to first place in the NFC South and a playoff berth, Young was pretty inconsistent, despite showing flashes of good production. Not to mention, with the Panthers as reigning champions of the NFC South, they also have a tougher schedule for the 2026 regular season. Young must produce high-volume, steady games instead of relying heavily on fourth-quarter comebacks. If Young shows regression during the 2026 season, General Manager Dan Morgan wouldn't blink at the idea of trading Young and drafting another quarterback during the 2027 season. Adonai Mitchell. 2026 is going to be a critical year for Adonai Mitchell, as he couldn't make it work with the Colts, which resulted in him getting traded to the New York Jets in the middle of the 2025 regular season. Mitchell must translate elite separation metrics into consistent production to avoid the bust label. Mitchell has a low catch rate from his time with both the Colts and Jets and has made too many mental errors, such as drops and missteps in his early years with the Colts. The Jets also have a crowded receiver room with rookie Omar Cooper Jr. and star receiver Garrett Wilson, adding pressure to Mitchell, as the latter will eat up targets and on-field production. Even though Mitchell impressed during his offseason workouts, he must maintain an edge over the competition to lock down the WR2 spot opposite Garrett Wilson. Otherwise, he'll continue to have that bust label around him and lose the WR2 spot to Cooper Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. Similar to Bryce Young, Brian Thomas Jr. isn't technically considered a bust, but he had an incredibly disappointing 2025 season, as he went from having over 1,282 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns in 2024 to having 707 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in 2025. Thomas Jr. experienced a drastic sophomore slump due to physical injuries and rising competition within the Jaguars organization, with guys like Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, and a healthy Travis Hunter, who will get some snaps on offense. If Thomas Jr. can't separate himself from the other guys in the passing attack, he'll risk becoming a depth piece rather than a true WR1 for the Jaguars. With Thomas Jr. entering year 3 of his rookie deal, he cannot afford to have another letdown of a season. If he does, well, the Jaguars front office wouldn't hesitate to trade him to a title contender before the 2026 trade deadline or during the 2027 offseason. If Thomas Jr. turns things around and performs well as he did in those rookie season, the Jaguars will likely pick up his 5th-year option during 2027's offseason, and he'll be able to cement himself as a permanent fixture in the team's offense. It also helps that Thomas Thomas Jr. is healthy, running pain-free, and earning praise from head coach Liam Cohen and quarterback Trevor Lawrence, impressing them both during his performances at OTAs and mandatory minicamp. Treylon Burks. 2026 will be Treylon Burks' final chance to prove that he's not a massive draft bust, as he hasn't lived up to expectations with the Tennessee Titans and the Washington Commanders. Burks was drafted with the 18th pick of the 2022 NFL Draft by the Titans with the expectation that he would replicate the production of A.J. Brown before the team traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, spoiler alert, Burks did not live up to expectations, as he hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiving season yet. Burks' best stats came in his rookie season, catching 33 receptions for 444 yards, scoring a touchdown, and rushing for 47 yards on 4 attempts. Since his rookie year, Burks has been a massive flop and has re-signed with the Commanders on a 1-year deal for the 2026 season. Burks has a chance to compete for the WR2 role opposite Terry McLaurin, as the Commanders need a secondary aerial weapon. Unlike the 2025 offseason, Burks had more time to soak in and learn the Commanders' offensive schemes from offensive coordinator David Blau. Burks also gets a healthy Jaden Daniels to play with, as he's dealt with a rough, injury-riddled sophomore season. If Burks fails to produce in the 2026 regular season, the Commanders will not hesitate to walk away from him, making him a free agent in the 2027 offseason, as at the moment, his contract has zero long-term security, so he has to find a way to turn the ignition and scorch the scoreboards. But hey, what other draft busts are on their last legs? Were there any notable names that we should have included on this list? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.